Located on Florida's south central coast is Clearwater, which is now home to a little bit of New York, specifically Brooklyn, for it is here that Mac and Bonnie Wackler have decided to open Brooklyn Knish. A knish is a traditional Jewish dish that has found many new fans in Clearwater and indeed all around Florida. Traditionally a potato-based creation, Bonnie and Mac have expanded their menu to over a dozen different types of knishes that people of all tastes can come to enjoy. Edge New Media Marketing decided to take its cameras to Brooklyn Knish to see exactly how a knish is made and how Brooklyn Knish got its start. Let's take a look.
It all starts here with the raw potatoes. Everything's from scratch. So we steam the potatoes in here. We first peel the potatoes in this machine, and then we steam the potatoes in here, and then they go into this mixer. And then all the different ingredients that goes into the mix goes in as well, and we mix it up. And then from here it goes right onto the rolling table to roll the knish. To roll a knish, you start with the dough, and you got to roll it out real thin. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Very, very difficult process. Not anybody can do it. So you roll it out very thin, almost so you can see through it. Now you take the mixture, whatever that might be. This one here is specifically bacon breakfast, which is bacon, eggs, and cheese and potato all mixed together. And you line it in here kind of like doing a jelly roll. So you kind of get that uniform. And then you roll. There it is. Okay, so then you got the roll and you cut. You seal one side and you flip it over, and there's a knish. After we egg wash the knishes, they go in the oven for 30 minutes, and then they come out looking like this. Woo.
I basically just started, my mom used to make them. She had a recipe from my grandmother who used to cook for a kosher kitchen in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And my grandmother cooked all sorts of Jewish delicacies and delicious stuff, and my mom became an excellent cook just watching her cook. So and I just grew up basically at my mom's table, talking over the day and watching her either roll knishes or make kreplach or blintzes, matzo balls, anything and everything. And we just, that's kind of how we communicated. I'd watch her cook and do these things and, tell her about my day. So I think just by osmosis, I learned how to make mostly everything. And certainly learned how to make the knish that way also. Although the exact recipe was a little puzzling because it was basically my grandmother's way of thinking. So she would put down a glass of flour. I'd have to figure out what the glass was. So that took me a while. But other than that, a lot was from memory. Mac and I, my husband, would always go shopping at the farmers markets in the area, specifically the Saturday morning market in St. Pete, which is huge. We'd always get our produce and everything. And we're walking around one Saturday shopping and looking at all the food vendors. And Max says, "You know, I bet you could sell your Knish here." And I just looked at him like, "Are you serious?" And he actually was serious. So we talked about it for the whole week, and then the following week we brought samples, and the market managers really liked them. So it started out kind of like as just us discussing this and thinking, you know, we could do like maybe a little part-time business on weekends. And then it just exploded. The people who knew what they were thrilled because it was a whole nostalgic thing, you know. They remembered growing up with them and eating them in different parts of the country, and were thrilled with them. And then we had a lot of people, young people, who had never heard of them. So we basically had to educate them, and I mean, they'd walk up with their little southern accents going, "What's a Knish?" Which was kind of funny to us, but I guess the name Brooklyn Knish came from the fact that Mac grew up in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, and his very favorite thing would be going to Mrs. Stahl's Knish's and eating his favorite Knish, and then going down the street to a hot dog place, a deli, to get a hot dog. And Mac, being a little chubby kid, food was very important for him. So he has very fond memories about Mrs. Stahl's, and basically when I met him, that's all he talked about. You know, I have to take you to Mrs. Stahl's. They were in business for 86 years, and that was one of the first places he took me for lunch. So when we thought about making this a business of sorts, we thought, you know, what could we call it? And he instantly said, it's got to be called Brooklyn Knish. So that's basically how that name started, you know, out of a nostalgia for him. Everybody came on board slowly, you know. At first it was just Mac and myself, and it was going to be very small and part-time, and then it got way out of our hands, you know, very quickly. So my son, Brian, who was a little skeptical, said, well, you know, I'll help you out a little bit. And then he became overwhelmed very quickly. And then my daughter-in-law came on rolling Knishes at night, and then my daughter, and sometimes my nephew helps out, you know, doing markets and stuff. So it was like a slow process, but it's all working out. I mean, everybody knows what they have to do, and everybody's working towards, you know, making this a success and providing a really good product, I think. So it's working out well.
Known to man. I've been eating these for 3 years, and I didn't even know what a Knish was until I saw them at the Saturday morning market.
Be sure to visit the Brooklyn Knish website at www.brooklynknish.com. We now can deliver Knishes overnight to all 50 states.